Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV and our very, very, very first show for 2019. So I want to wish you a happy new year wherever you are in this amazing globe of ours. Here in Australia, we're into day 2 of the new year and it's absolutely fantastic and exciting. I always think that New Year is a time when we can refresh everything, when we can sort of really look forward to a positive and hopefully the best year of our lives. I mean, I say that every year, but those of you that are regular viewers on the show by now, you know I'm a supreme optimist. I think that goes with the Sagittarian energy. I just love being positive. I very rarely ever get down or disappointed. And I'm not saying I don't ever get disappointed. That's probably the wrong statement to say. I'm very much a truth seeker and I do try and look at everything in my life, and I mean everything, through very truthful eyes, whether it's good, bad or indifferent. I try and look at it for what it is and take from it whatever is necessary and whatever lessons that I may need to learn or how I need to adjust my thinking. So anyway, let's kick the show off in a very bright, positive sort of way for the Happy New Year segment. And it's an interesting show today because you're going to say to me, well, Amanda, you just said to me we're going to kick the show off in a very bright, positive way. And then the card of the week looks really negative, and it's the Devil card. Now, when I first drew this morning, because it's morning here in Australia, even though it's nighttime in the Northern Hemisphere, I looked at this card and I thought, oh, well, I put it back and draw another card, and I thought, no, this is the actual card I was drawn to. There's a reason for this. Don't be such a negative Nelly just because you're having the reaction that most people would have when they first see this card, and it's sort of like doom and gloom. But the Devil card is actually a very positive card. Yes, it can have some negative connotations, but once we move past that, we see the reasons why we need the Devil card in our lives from time to time. It can be the card of jealousy or trouble. And I'm not saying that there's a person on the planet that hasn't experienced some form of jealousy or some form of trouble in their life. Hopefully we get it in a minimal dose, but we are able to break the chains that are binding us or holding you back. Now, that's the meaning or the secondary meaning of the card that I think is most significant for the start of the new year, that we are able to break those chains from the past that might be binding us or holding us back or holding us to a situation, a job, a relationship, or even just thought patterns or habit patterns in our lives. We're now able to break these and move forward. So when you look at it in that way, it's a very, very positive card to start the new year. So even though we normally sort of talk about, we have a little glimpse around the universe and we normally talk a little bit about a famous person, I'm going to bring that segment back next week because I wanted to kick the new year off and talk a little bit about astrologically what's going to happen this year. It is going to be a very dynamic sort of year. It's a year where we can all make something a reality, something that's on our wish list if we really try hard enough. Now, I know I've spoken before about Jupiter, the planet of manifestation and opportunity, is sitting in Sagittarius, and it will be until the end of December 2019. But it's an opportunity not just for Sagittarians and not just for fire signs, but for every single sign in the zodiac to get out there and make something happen, something that you think is impossible, something that you think is only a wish or a daydream. It's the time to get up off the couch, start to write a list, start to look at how you can bring this into your life. It may, don't do the impossible and say, I want to take a trip to the moon, because, falling short of you having an awful lot of money and booking, the Virgin Moon flight, that's not going to happen. But I'm talking about more practical things in our lives, things that we can make a reality. If you really want to go after that dream job, then make it happen. Get and do the study, do whatever's necessary to put yourself in a better position to make that happen. If you're looking to change your diet or change your lifestyle or become more healthy or whatever the case may be, or increase your bank balance or paint the house or whatever it might be, we don't always have ambitions that are impossible. It's just sometimes they seem too big to handle. So now is the time to make these things happen. Jupiter only goes back into Sagittarius once every 12 years, so it's a really positive time to sort of get your voice heard. It's a time of tremendous truth. It's a time of tremendous understanding and finding answers that maybe have been hidden from us too, because it does rule things like philosophy, religion, truth, honesty, higher mind, higher education, and overseas travel, and moving out of our comfort zone. So that's a very important thing for each and every one of us to look at. Now, if we want to add to that, currently at the moment, we have the planet, the sun, which is in Capricorn because it's that time of the year. It's the Capricorn time of the year. So the Capricorn energy is always about big business, about bank balances, about anything official, whether it's doctors, dentists, lawyers, sorting out official paperwork, looking at whether we've got the best phone plan or the best electricity plan to suit us, things like that. It's taking care of business. So when you're looking at taking care of business at this time of the year, and quite often it's that shock when we start to realise how much money we spent over Christmas on the plastic that we didn't intend to do, and it's like, okay, right, tighten the belt, back to budgeting, back to sort of getting ourselves out of debt. That can sometimes be the reality for a lot of us around the world. I'm not one of them. I'm a fairly careful money manager when it comes to things like that. When my children were little, I used to start Christmas shopping in about February for the following Christmas, but that's always been my plan. But for a lot of people, they leave it till the last minute, and then credit card bills and things like that get out of control. Now, for the moment, we have the sun that is holding hands or sitting next to the planet Saturn. Now, we've spoken about Saturn many times on the show. Saturn is the planet of discipline, of restriction, of wielding the big stick and saying you're going to behave yourself. Now, when we see the sun and Saturn sitting together or holding hands, it's just sort of saying it's time now that we need to get more order, more structure in our lives. And I feel this is more on a financial and a practical sort of level. So this can apply to each and every one of us. It's not just to Capricorns, it's to each and every sign. It's a time now, the new year, fresh start. Let's get your finances, let's get the house in order, let's get your financial arrangements in order. Look at anything that might need to be changed, that needs to be sorted out. Have you got the right home loan? All those sort of things. And look at how you can put down a good solid budget, hopefully that you're going to stick to for 2019. Now, this is the key. Learning to control our spending, making sure that what money we do need to spend is being spent wisely. This will help us capitalise on the opportunities that are coming our way by Jupiter in Sagittarius because we have a good solid plan to follow. You know, many, many years ago when I first, looked at going into business, there was a little saying that was told to me, you've got a plan in business, otherwise you plan to fail. And that's where business plans became very trendy back in the 90s, where people all of a sudden had this Bible to follow of how they were going to conduct their business. Most times it didn't work out that way, but it gave them a structure. It gave them a point of focus. It gave them something to sort of look at and say, okay, I can keep readjusting this as I go along. I'd like you to take a few moments and do the same sort of thing for this year. Look at how you're going to structure your finances. Is there debt you're going to try and remove yourself from? Is there goals that you're going to be working on? Things like that. Now, that brings us into our candle of the week, and I'm going to start the new year off with a candle we haven't featured before on the show, and it's called Manifest. Now, isn't this an appropriate candle for this time of the year? We've already spoken about freeing ourselves from the restrictions. We've talked about taking control of our money. We've talked also about having a plan to follow. Well, here's the perfect kickstart to your planning for this year is manifest. So what I want you to do, you've written your little business plan for your personal finances and your goals that you want to achieve this year. We could actually use that as the little list that we're going to put under the candle, because we've already sort of said there the things that we're hoping to manifest or bring into our lives. So instead of writing two separate sort of lists in that way, yes, you can duplicate it and use it under your candle, and you can pop the other one up on the fridge so that every time you walk past the refrigerator, you're reinforcing what you're trying to manifest. Now, normally what I say to you is that we can burn a candle for 7 days when we're trying to work with the energy of a candle. But with the manifest candle, this is something we can burn all year. This is something that we could have a constant supply of manifest candles going, along with our other weekly regime of the different changes that we bring into our lives. So the manifest candle, using your little list that you've written out of what you want to bring towards you in your life, your new direction as far as your finances, family finances or business finances. Pop your list underneath the candle. Always putting your candle on a coaster, never directly on furniture. That can be a saucer, it can be a cork coaster, it can be a magazine, as long as it's something that makes that there's no direct contact between the candle and your furniture. That is really, really important. So because these glass containers get hot, And you can see here we've got a dual wick system in this one. I like to light white one side one day and one side the next day. I feel that's important. You get a longer burn time out of your candle. And I think that's important too. As we're trying to manifest more opportunities and more money in our lives, we want to make sure that we get value for our dollar. So that's our manifest candle. So that's one of my favourite candles because it is the opportunity then to manifest all year round. So you can change it, you can add to it, you can subtract. It's a bit like the business plan. It's a work in progress. It's not set in stone. It's not set in concrete. It's something that we adjust as the year goes by. Now, for those of you that don't have a big area, or you might want to take a manifestation candle to work with you or pop it on your work desk, this is the travel kit of the manifest candles. I've put 3 manifest candles in here today. You can choose any 3 of our 28 now range, but these are great for travel. These are great for small spaces. You'll get about 15 hours burn time out of these, always being aware that we never leave a candle unattended. We never leave it under air conditioning fans, near open windows, near curtains, children, pets, and things like that, that we're very mindful because a candle burning is fire after all. So we do have to be very careful with that. For those of you that don't want to work with a flame and say to me, how else can I bring manifestation into my life, Amanda? Well, can I suggest to you a melt warmer? These you can buy at your local supermarket, your department store. Here in Australia, they're around about $15 at the local supermarket. They are electric. They have a little button on the side that you can turn off. No reason why not to maybe grab 2 of these when you're out. You could have one going constantly when you're home or at work with your manifestation wax in it, your soy wax in it, and then have another one for our weekly situation where you can do, change with the moon cycles or whatever we're working on for the week. So that might be a great start to the new year, is grab yourself a couple of these. Again, write your list out as we've already done. Pop it underneath the melt warmer. Putting the melt warmer on a coaster, it's just a good habit to get into. Turn it on when you're at home. You can leave this safely going and not have to babysit it, as long as it's in a safe place that won't be knocked over. And you're starting off your melt warmer with about 2 teaspoons of the soy wax out of your candle, and then adding about a half a teaspoon every day. So that makes it an economical situation. So let's get on to our first caller. We've got Sandra in Dublin, Ireland. Are you there, Sandra? Well, I'll just keep talking for a little while we find Sandra. It's really going to be a top year, I feel. We've got a very, very, very busy year ahead of us because it's 2019. I'm not a numerologist, so I can't tell you what the numerology comes to. I just know astrologically, I feel very excited about where we're heading for this year. And it's going to be a year where I'm really going to enjoy being here with you on A1R Psychic Radio on Moonstruck TV every Tuesday afternoon at 5 p.m. out of the US. Are you there, Sandra?
I am. How are you?
Very well, Sandra. Do you have a question for me, sweetie?
Yeah, just about this new year and what will it bring? I suppose love, work, and everything, really.
Okay. All right, Sandra, you're asking the typical questions that people sort of ask, and not just at New Year. The first thing that they were showing me, Sandra, was that you've got a number of endings, changes and transformations taking place at the moment. I want to take you back to last September. I feel from September onwards, it was like you were sort of slowly starting to sort things out in your life. Have you not? Like clearing things out, moving things along, saying, I no longer need that. That's completed. I can release that, let go of that. Throw that out, do whatever. It was sort of like a time of getting ready for where we're heading now. Is that what you found was happening?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, that's good. Because that means, it means you're right on cue. You were sort of preparing the way. It's interesting because we say we want more things in our lives, but yet we're not usually prepared to make the space for them to come in. It's a bit like having, a wardrobe full of dresses, and we want to buy more dresses, but we can't fit them in. We have to let go of some. And it's the same with other areas of our life. Now, I do feel that there's going to be new love coming into your life, Sandra, but I wish I could say it was going to be next week, but I'm sort of feeling more towards May, June, July, and I've got a very tall, dark-headed man and somebody completely brand new, nobody that you've ever dated before, ever had any contact with. I'm not saying between now and then you won't have a date, but I'm saying this is the most significant one that jumps out at me as the one with the potential for a really nice, detailed sort of long-term relationship. I like him. He's a nice man, about 2 years older than you, got a bit of a wave to his hair. I think the last couple of years for him were quite horrendous. There was a lot of changes, a lot of things that he had to sort out and let go of. And I feel that he will have made a big move. And that's also the reasons why you're not going to meet him just yet. I don't think he's in your location yet. I think he's moving there from another part of the country. And that's good. So, but when you get to meet him, it's like he's come out the other side of all these changes and he's ready to embrace a positive new life, you know, if he was to meet the right person, which is you, which is great. Now, as far as on the work scene, I'm sort of questioning whether or not it's the time to be sort of looking at a change there. I know there's days there where you get out of bed and you think, oh, do I have to really go to work? And then there's other days you're quite happy to sort of skip your way into work and you're quite happy to be there. So that says to me that it's not quite time yet to be sort of looking at a change. Can I suggest, if there's something that you feel that you need to add to your skill set as far as your job skills, that could put you in a better position if you decided, or when you decided you needed to change your job, that would be where I'd be heading at the moment, is just sort of making sure I've got all the skills that I would need if I wanted to change. I'm not saying that there's necessarily a change there yet. Also, I feel for the moment that you need to now, after all this clearing out, I think there needs to be a period of just being, of not making any major decisions just yet, just allowing what you've let go of and how your thoughts have raced all different directions to just sort of settle. And then I think you'll find things will become a lot clearer. It's like you'll get out of bed and you'll just know. You won't have to think about it. It's like you'll just know, as if somebody sort of illuminated the pathway to say, this is where you need to be going, Sandra. Have you also found in the last 6 to 12 months, Sandra, that you're getting stronger feelings about things, that you meet somebody and instantly know whether you like them or you don't like them?
Yeah.
I want you to follow that a bit more, Sandra.
Yeah, no, I would be pretty psychic myself.
Yeah, but being psychic, everybody's psychic, sweetheart, but this is something more than that. It's like it's really strengthened. It's like you've really sort of taken up in a number of notches in this last 12 months.
Yeah, I understand that, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I want to put that. It's sort of like, yes, you've always had that ability, but now it's stronger and more concise than it ever was. And it's like, I don't have to think about it now. It's automatic. It's like brushing my teeth when I get up of a morning. I just know. And that's what I want to keep compounding on. I want to keep building on that with you because I feel that that's really important. Has there been, I was going to say a lot of loss, and I don't mean loss of person. Has there been what, in your opinion, sort of like a loss of things that you thought they were one way, but now in reality you see that they're a different way, or people aren't as you thought they were?
Yeah, in different areas, yeah. It's almost like I'm outgrowing a lot of situations.
Yeah, but it's people. Almost been like in people, it's been like a bitter pill to swallow though, wasn't it, at the very beginning of this transition, I want to call it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, it's never easy when we come to this. What I can say to you, this is part of that psychic layering that's happening, of you going, much higher up the ladder, if you want to put it that way, than where you were. So this is a positive thing. Don't look at it in the negative. Look at it very much in the positive. Yes, it's unfortunate you've outgrown these people, but that's the way it is. They had a choice to sort of match your stride for stride. They chose not to. So it's no longer your responsibility to try and help them get where you're going. That's not your problem. And it sounds very cold and callous, but it's like you're now no longer meant to rescue anyone. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah, totally.
Yeah, so it's like I really want you to practice that now. If there's a problem or a situation, look at who owns it. If it's not personally affecting you, turn your back, walk away, and don't give it a second thought. I know that sounds callous, but it's part of the journey that you have to go on now to really bring to the forefront this tremendous responsibility that's been given to you on a psychic level. And that's really important. It's a hard lesson, but it's a lesson that once you've mastered it, it will become second nature, like, you know, as you've seen other areas of your life, you know, move into just being natural, that will also become natural too. And it doesn't mean you're going to become a hard person or not a nice person. It just means that you're looking after yourself more so. So we're going to leave it there. Sandra, Happy New Year. I'm going to take our next call, who is Ellie in Edinburgh, Scotland. Are you there, Ellie? Hi, sweetie. How can I help you? Happy New Year.
Hi. Could you tell me if my partner still loves me and he's coming back in January, please?
If who's coming back in January, sweetie?
Is he coming back in January? Yeah. And if he still loves me?
Can I have his first name, please, darling?
Alex.
Alex, okay. A lot of changes sitting around Alex. I'm not sure that Alex has made up his mind yet whether he's coming back in January. Look, I'm not saying Alex doesn't love you, and I'm not saying that Alex isn't, you know, thinking of you and thinking about the situation with you. He's got a lot of issues that he's got to sort out for himself. And these, in a selfish sort of way, only affect Alex. And until he's sorted those out, then I don't think he can get to the next section in his life, which is looking at you and the relationship and where does that stand and what does he want out of it and can he give you what you need and what the relationship needs. And I know that sounds sort of very confusing, but this is what the energy that I'm picking up from Alex himself at the moment. I doubt very much he'll be back in January. I'm picking up more towards mid to late February. And when he does come back, he seems a lot stronger, but also a little bit distant. Now, I don't want you to be upset by that. I think he's come back with a certain amount of things in his mind that he's got to get off his chest and sort of talk to you about, and it's like that's what he's focused on. And once he sort of gets that off his chest, then he sort of relaxes and then we can sort of start to have a conversation. To answer your question, does he still love you? Yes, he does. But I also sort of feel that he's got to get these other areas of his life sorted out first. Do you understand what I'm saying there? Yeah. And it's sort of like, darling, I'm going to ask you to be patient. I know that's hard and I understand how hard it is, but it's like if you really love Alex the way that I believe that you do, you've got to give him this little bit of extra time for him to be able to straighten himself out. He really was there some sort of shock that happened to him around June, July last year? Something happened then that really rocked him at his foundation?
I don't know. We split up in March last year.
Okay.
And we've been in constant contact. And for the last few months, he's been saying he'll come back after New Year in January and we'll sort things out in that. But it just keeps moving further back and further back. And he promises to contact me and he doesn't. It's like he's this young boy and he's out playing with his friends all the time. That's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah,
like his friends and that mean more.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I also understand it from his point of view too, is that he's had so much to deal with. I go back to something happened in June, July last year that sort of literally sat him back on his backside, that sort of he didn't expect, and it sort of he's reacted to that. And from that has brought up a lot of these emotional things that he's got to deal with. And I don't think he was emotionally ready to deal with the depth of your relationship. And that's why he called an end to it. And it's not that he didn't love you. He did love you and he still loves you and he's always loved you. It's just he didn't know how to handle it. It was sort of almost like a little boy in a man's body. He just couldn't deal with the emotions, the responsibility and all of that. That doesn't make him any less of a nice person. It's just he just became overwhelmed and he said, I've got to get off the merry-go-round. And he did. And then during that time that he got off the merry-go-round, something else happened. Look, I'm not sure whether it was a death of somebody in the family or whether it was a major argument with somebody. It was something that was life-changing. That I can tell you. And that sent him spiralling even more out of control in a sense, as we would see it, with not wanting to take responsibility, not making a decision, not being able to understand what to do next. he's almost there. And that's what I said. Give him another month and I think things will be very different. And when he does decide to come back and see you, it's sort of like he messages you today and he's here in 2 days. You know what I mean? Sort of like literally nothing, and then it's all systems go. So please just hang on to that. He does love you. He will be back. You will have a chance to sort this out, but let him get off his chest what he needs to say first. It's like he's rehearsed it and he's got to recite this, you know, thing that he's got in his head. And once he gets that off his chest, you can see the pressure come out of his face and he relaxes and says, well, what do you think of that? You know, like a little kid sort of saying, well, what do you think of my play, mummy? You know, and it's like, well, yeah, okay. Well, now we're going to sit down and we're going to pull this apart and we're going to look at some things that need to be sorted out. But look, I do think we're going to get this back on track with Alex. And I do think he's finally become a man.
He was abandoned when he was young from his mum.
Right.
And I met him 5 years ago.
A lot of the stuff. Yeah, well, that's probably a lot of the stuff he's had to deal with. So, Ellie, if you can just be patient.
He's back living with her now.
Yeah, but that's all good because, yeah, but he's confronting it. They're both confronting their past, sweetheart. So that's a good thing. Darling, I'm going to have to wrap it up there, and I just want to ask you to be patient. Hold on to the love that you have for Alex because I know he still loves you and everything will sort out. So we're down to only seconds left of the show. I want to thank you all for joining us again here on A1R Psychic Radio, here on Moonstruck TV. For those of you that want to continue and watch what I do with my work, I have a live Facebook presentation directly after this on the Amanda Hall page where we'll be doing a manifestation workshop. Until then, Happy New Year and enjoy whatever it is that you're trying to bring in for the new year. And don't forget to create your lists. Bye for now.